This conference will now be recorded.
Is the voice audible? Hi, Srini.
Yeah, yeah. Hi, UV. Hi.
So today's session will be the continuation of yesterday's discussed topic, that loop concept, and I hope my screen is visible now, my editor.
Yes, yes.
So we are going to see something called jump statements, because I was telling you, you should know when to break your code, how to come out of your code. So some basic things are needed, and based upon that only we can conclude whether our code is working as per the business need. Okay, so in jump statement, two things we are going to discuss. One is break, another one is continue. Partially, the usage of break I have covered in the switch conditional statement. In that example, I have shown when I use break, what will happen and all I have showed. Here, today we are going to see about the usage of break statement in a loop concept. So for that, I am creating a new class. Hi, Ranjit. So in this, I'm going to add my code. One demo I'm planning to add. This is one simple example only. That is, I'm going to read the data from the user using the scanner. Once I get the data, I'm going to get the nearest divisible by 10 number. Say for example, I'm entering something called 78. I am planning to print 70 in my screen. If for example, if the user is entering 64, then I am planning to print 60, which is nothing but for the given n, find the nearest divisible by 10 that is less than or equal to the number which I typed. So what I have done is, if you take the 78, the nearest divisible by 10 is 80. Okay, but I'm adding one more condition here, which is nothing but the number which I'm going to get, the divisible by 7 means what? If I divide the number by 10, my remainder should be 0. That is called divisible by 10. There should not be any remainder at all. So for 78, I should either go for 70 or 80. Two options are available. But one more condition I'm adding, which is nothing but the result should be less than or equal to the number which I get from the user. If I say 78, then the output should be 70. It's not 80, because it should be less than or equal to the number which I'm typing. So for this, I'm going to use a while loop today. So for a scanner, I'm saying that it's a number, right? So one integer variable I'm declaring using the scanner object. I am typing my scanner arguments here. So I'm passing that some input I'm going to get from user, and okay. So once I imported, my error is resolved. Now I'm going to ask the user, enter the number. So once user enter it, our usual process, that is using the scanner object, as it is a int, I'm going to get it using the next int only, and so once I get a number called 78, for example, 78 I'm getting means I'm going to run it in a loop until when? Until my number is going to become 0. I'm going to decrement the number because I want the less than number, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to reduce a number from 78, 77, 76, 75. Like that, I'm going to reduce it. At the same time, I'm going to find the number. Say if I have 77, then I will say that divisible by 10. So divisible by 10 means obviously the modulo operation will support us here. So once I divide by 10, my remainder should be 0. Okay, so then only I will say that number is divisible by 10. If this condition satisfy, I am going to print the number. Okay, so the n. So let me repeat what logic I've added. I got a number called 78. So this 78 first I will divide by 10 and I will see if it is equal to 0. The remainder is equal to 0. If it is equal to 0, I will print it. In my case, it is not 0, right? Because it's 78. Obviously, I will get a remainder as 8. So this particular portion will be skipped and my number will be reduced by 1. So I'll get 77. Then it will check the while condition. Is 77 is greater than or equal to 0? Yes, it is greater than 0. Then again it will check for the modulo operation. Likewise, it will repeat. Once I get 70, it will check 70 greater than or equal to 0. Yes, it will check, and it will check for the remainder, the modulo operation. In this time, the remainder would be 0. So the output will be printed. So this is my expectation. So I'm running my code now. So now it is asking me to enter the number. I'm entering something called 54. If you look at my screen, once I enter 54, it is printing the answer properly. First time, okay, 50 it is printing properly because 50 is a number which is divisible by 10, which means that if I divide it by 10, my remainder is 0. At the same time, it is less than 54, the entered number also. But what is it doing? Once I enter the 50, once I get the record output, it should come out of the program. It should say that end of the program. But instead of that, what it is doing, it is finding all the number which is divisible by 10, which is not the one I'm expecting. It should skip the complete flow and it should come out of the flow because I'm in need of 50 only. I got the required answer. I don't want the execution to go further. I don't want this decrement operation to be done. I don't want this condition to be checked. I don't want this if condition to be executed. So how can I do it is I can use the jump statement called break. So inside this, I'm saying a break statement. So again, where you are putting break statement really matters because if I find the match, in this case only it is going to print me 50. Immediately after printing, I have to break this while loop. I'm not supposed to continue at all. I should come out of the code. So I have to put the break statement inside the if condition. I should not put somewhere else in the while or somewhere outside. Only inside this if where I want to break, there only I'm supposed to put it. So I'm adding this. Now I'm going to execute the program. So now again I'm entering the same number 54. This time it is just printing 50 and it's saying end of the program because I added a break. When I find the required output, that is the expectation, that was a requirement given to me. Once I find my answer, I'm breaking it. Immediately after seeing the break, what it will do? It will go and break the while loop. You can also see whenever I highlight this break, can you see? It is highlighting the while also. So it is saying this break is corresponds to this while. So there is a connection between in your ID. You can really see this. You can highlight this and you can see the while is also highlighted here. You can see the color changing of the while keyword. Okay, this is called break statement, jump statement. Using that, one of the jump statement is break. Any doubt in this break?
Yeah, no, no.
Okay, thank you. One more thing here is in the case of nested loop. Okay, for example, I have two loops, and yesterday I was showing an example, right? Like I was printing something like this, like 5 stars, right? So 5 times I was printing the stars, 5 rows. So this was the one I was showing yesterday, and I showed a example with nested for loops also. If in case I got a requirement that in row number 3, I want to print only 2 stars, I don't want to print the 5 stars, means how can we do? So somewhere I have to break the loop, the for loop. There are two for loops, you know. One for loop is meant for the horizontal, another for loop is meant for my vertical things. So out of these two for loops, one for loop I have to break. I don't want the for loop to continue beyond 2. That inner for loop, it should execute only twice. Whenever my third row comes, that is whenever my outer for loop reaches the 3 value, I should not run this for more than 2. It should be exactly 2. So how can we do this? Again, the same break statement we can do. So yesterday I wrote a code like this, like I had a outer for loop like this, int I equal to 0 and I less than or equal to 5, I plus plus, and I have my outer for loop open. Then I have my inner for loop, int j equal to 0 and j less than equal to 5, j plus plus. So this is my outer for loop, and in the outer for loop I have added something like this. Yesterday I printed like this, right? So one star alone I added. So let me execute the code also, how we derived. Then I will come to this part. So this is what I did yesterday. I'm running this code now. So my loops are here. I will remove this also so that I won't have extra new lines. So I have my starts printer 1 2 3 4 5 6. So I have my initial. Now you see the mistake I did. I did 0. I'm saying that my int I equal to 0. At the same time, I'm checking equal to 5 also. So it is running for 6 times. So I should change my initialization so that I will have only 5 stars. Now let me run again. So it depends upon from where you are starting your loop and how many times you are executing. Now you can see 5 stars are printed and it is printing for 5 times. The requirement what I told is in my third row I don't want more than 2 stars. So how can I do here is inside the loop, inside my inner for loop, I'm going to check one condition. So whenever I reaches 3, whenever my outer loop reaches 3, whenever my inner loop reaches 3, okay, I should not do anything, I should break. So break means what it will do. I will mouse over again. See, if I mouse over, can you see it is breaking the inner for loop. So what will happen is when I equal to 1, all the 5 stars will be executed using the inner for loop. Then I will become 2. Then again this complete loop will execute. Then second row all 5 stars will be printed. When I become 3, for the third row, when I become 3, the for loop, the inner for loop will be executed only for 2 times. That is, first is 2 star it will print. When it reaches, the inner for loop reaches j equal to 3, it will break the loop, it won't continue. Okay. Once it break, what will happen? It will go to the outer for loop and the I will become 4. When I will become 4, nothing. I didn't add any condition for I equal to 4, right? So obviously all the 5 stars will be printed. Then for this next iteration, when I equal to 5, the rest of the stars will be printed. So this is what I have added. Let's see the output. Okay, so this is what exactly I want and I got the result also. What I did, I am breaking the inner execution alone because I want the stars for the fourth and fifth row. Only in the third row I want to break it after the 2 stars printing. So how can I do it? I want to break the inner for loop. Say for example I got a requirement that I don't want to continue, I don't want the outer for loop also to be executed. I want to break the outer for loop. So this is the outer for loop, this is the inner for loop. So two for loops I have. So this is outer, this is inner. How can I cut short the execution of outer for loop? How can I break the outer for loop? It's really simple. Same break statement I'm going to use, but if I give a break, automatically it is going and matching with the inner for loop only. So I have to tell that, hey, don't break the inner for loop. This time you have to break the outer for loop. So how can I do here is I can use a concept called labeling. I'm going to give some name to this for loop. Any name you can give. Just for our understanding purpose, I'm naming it as outer loop. Anything you can give, some name you are giving, so some meaningful name you can give. So outer for loop, I name the for loop as outer for loop, outer loop. Going forward, if I want to access this for loop, I can use this label. So what I'm going to do here is, instead of just break statement, I'm going to add the name of the outer for loop. Okay, the name which I've given is outer loop. So I'm saying that, hey, break the outer for loop, don't break the inner for loop. This time you see the highlighting. Now previously when I mouse over against this break, it was pointing to this inner for loop, right? Now you can see whenever I mouse over, so just on the break, can you see in this area the for loop is highlighted with the gray background. Previously, see, I'm showing, you see the for loop is not at all highlighted, it just have a normal font. But when I'm after adding this break outer for loop, can you see it has some gray background? So why, what is this? It is saying this, going forward this break statement is corresponds to my outer for loop. So now I'm running this code. This time my output would be different. If you look at this, just two rows it completed properly, third row only 2 stars is printed, nothing else happened, not even the fourth row or fifth row, nothing has happened. The outer for loop execution is break. Okay, so this is the way you can break your nested loop case. Means if you want to break an outer for loop, if you want to break an inner for loop, these are the different ways you can follow. Why I'm spending much time here is, you can expect some interview questions related to the patterns. They will trick you, they will give some patterns. Print a diamond shape, okay, stars they will give. Print some triangle, print some inverted pyramid. So some kind of patterns they will give. So for the complete patterns, it is fully depend on the nested loops concept, especially the for loops you will be using. So it's straightforward. So just the stars they will be asking you to print, but in the stars you will be adding some arithmetic operation, you will be adding some jump statements. That's why I'm specifically discuss the different options you can work on the nested loop. Okay, one more concept in the same jump statement is continue. So for example, I got a requirement that print all the number between 1 to 10. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate that. Let me comment this code for now. So every topic I'm keeping the code and I commented. Finally, once I share it, you can refer this code. So continue statement. So what I'm going to see now here is continue. So my thing is print all number between 1 to 10. Okay, this is my requirement now. I'm going to change the requirement later. For now, I'm going to use one simple for loop to print all the number between 1 to 10. So int I equal to 1, I less than or equal to 10. So why I'm saying less than or equal to 10 is, I have started the I count equal to 1, right? So I'm saying like this. Then as usual increment operation I'm doing, and I am going to print the number here. So just I am printing, that was my requirement, right? Print all number between 1 to 10. So once I execute the code, it is going to print me the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So can you see in my bottom console it is printing everything. This is good. Say for example, I got one more requirement in the existing program that print all number between 1 to 10 except 7. You have to skip one number here. Okay, so what they are saying is, yes, your program is correct, you can print all the number but skip only one number. that is 7. How can I do this is using the continuous. The break means, I told, right, break means it will completely come out of the loop. It won't continue, it won't proceed further. But continue statement has a feature that it will skip only for that particular condition, and the regular process will go as it is. So in my example, I'm going to say like this: if I equal to 7, okay, once that particular 7 is there, I don't want to print the 7 alone in my print statement. This alone I want to remove. I don't want the 7 alone. So how can I do it is, if I equal to 7, then continue. So continue means what it will do, it won't print this, it won't execute this particular statement. Instead of that, it will skip that particular activity and it will go to the next iteration. From next iteration, it will work as it is. So this is the use of continue. So now I'm executing the code. If you look at my output here, 5 is there, 6 is there, then immediately you can see 8 alone. You can't see 7 here because that was my requirement. I was told to print the number between 1 to 10 except 7. So I have to skip 7. To skip the 7, what I can do? I can go for the continue. If I use a break statement, what will do? It will come out of the flow 10 and all, it won't print, because that's the usage of break statement, right? Break statement, what it will do, it will break the execution of the for loop. But in this case, I don't want to break the execution. I want to continue the execution for rest of the numbers. Only 7 I want to skip. So this is what you have to do. So these are the two jump statements. You can use it in the loop concept. So it is for your understanding, I have used in the for loop. You can use in the other loops also. Once you add like this, you can come up. 1 minute, my screen got unshared. Just give me a minute, let me share my screen back. Okay, my screen is visible. Good. So based upon the requirement, either we can go for a break, we can go for a continue. Again, if I have a nested loop, which loop I want to break? Inner loop means I can just give a break. If I want to break the outer loop, I have to give one label to them. So using label, I can break the outer loop also. So label is my own decision, like whatever name I want, I can give the label. But the same label name, you have to give it in the break statement. Okay. So now, yesterday I was telling you that array concepts. So usually how we will do array, and just we didn't cover the regular process. That's why I was like adding a number like this, and I was printing a number like this. Today I'm going to demo. Okay, I'm going to show a demo on array using loops. So we are going to print an array using a loop. So let's see the demo, and I'm commenting this code for now. Okay, this is what I have given yesterday, right? So now I'm going to modify this little bit. So I have an array like this, and there are like 4 elements here, and I'm going to print this using a for loop. So this is how you do it in the real time also. You won't be printing like what I did in line number 10. This you won't do. You will always use a loop to insert into an array to retrieve the data from the array. So already the data is inserted, so I'm going to print it. So int I equal to 0, I less than a dot. Here I have my array name as marks, right? So marks dot length and I plus plus. So I'm going to run my for loop until my I count is less than the array length. In my case, the array length is 4. As I already told, the arrays, the index will start from 0th position. So this will be at 0th position. This will be at index equal to 1. This will be at index equal to 2. This will be at index equal to 3. So I will start my iteration from 0 and I will run till n minus 1. That is less than. I'm not putting, you can see I didn't say I less than or equal to mark start length. I'm saying just less than. So the index will be less than the actual number of elements, right? So I'm doing like this. Now I'm going to print it. The same statement I'm going to use. Whatever it is there in line number 10, more or less same. The only difference is there I was hard coding the index place, right? That first place, second place, third place, something like this I have a hard coded. But here I'm going to give only the dynamic value. When the first time for loop iterated, the 0th position will be printed because I would be 0 at that time. Second time it will be 2, third time it will be 3, like that it will go. So now I'm executing this. So now you can see all the 4 elements got printed here. 60, 70, 80, 90. How we have done? We didn't do the hard-coded way. We did it using the loops concept. So this is how we will handle the uh, arrays using the loops. So I was telling about for loop, while loop and do while loop, right? Today we will see the for each loop also. This for each loop you will see it in the UI development also. So what all this latest technology they are using this for each concept. So what is this for each? So I was telling this is the way you are reading the data, right? This is the for loop concept. The similar for each how I can do here is, instead of like this, I'm going to use something called for int I marks. Okay, and I'm going to print the I here. Both are same. Okay, but here I was doing the increment, I was checking something, and I was doing the initialization, everything here. Here I'm doing entirely different. Okay, this is the for each syntax. This is how your syntax. Let me explain that also. Okay, so I'm running this. You can see output wise there is no change. This is for the for loop output, this is for the for each loop output. How this for each loop is working? Okay, it will get each and every, so marks is an array. So what it will do, it will get each element in the array, the marks array, and save it in I. Okay, and finally it is printing here. So for each element, for each I present in an array, it will get a separate element. So first what it will do, first it will get 60 and 60 will be placed here and 60 will be printed. Then it will take 70, that's what I told, right? For each element. So 60 is one of the element in the marks array. It's an integer array. Marks is the name of the array. So in marks array, 60 is one element, 70 is another element, 80, 90. So everything is a individual element. So it will get each element of this marks array and it will save it in your I, and that value will be printed here. So this is how the for each loop works. But here in for loop, you have to mention specifically that run it till your length reaches so and so. Here, I don't need to tell. It in turns will run only for the length. Okay, if the length is 4, it will run for the 4 times. If the length is 5, it will run for the 5 times. So I don't need to specifically tell when this for loop has to come out of the execution. And the increment decrement, nothing, I don't need to specify. This is the difference between for loop and for each loop. And the same thing you can see it in your, if you are planning to do a Angular code, TypeScript based one, there also you can see similar kind of coding. So all these latest codings, they are using this for each concept. For each means for each element in an array, it will take and it will save it in that I, and that I value will be printed here. Okay, with this we are completing our basic Java concepts. Basic Java in the sense like your loops, your operators, your data types, your variables, your conditional statements, everything. Now we are stepping into the actual hoops concept. That is the
Yeah.
backbone of your Java.
Yeah,
Yes, any
just
question?
one question. In that for each statement, if you give that any different data type, will it give any compilation errors instead of int? If you put some other maybe string, will it give any compilation errors or runtime errors?
So in your this when you write here itself, it will show you. Okay, if you want a character element means you can specify a character data type. You have to specify which type you want. Okay, if I have a, character array here, for example, character a, and here I'm specifying something like e comma b comma. Okay, this is what your question, right? So I have a character array. Here I'm saying int a and a. Okay, if I specify like this and I'm running, so this is what your expectation, right? I have a character array and I have some element in this, and I'm trying to print the value here. Okay, now I'm running it. It is giving me the equivalent value. For a, the ASCII element is 97, and for b, the ASCII equivalent is 98. So those value it will print. So because I've specified it's an
Okay.
integer, right? So
Yeah.
it will take the relevant value and it will print. Is it clear?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next thing is going forward, we are going to discuss concept, concept, and this all these object oriented features and everything. More or less it will be same with the other programming languages also, because classes, objects, your constructor, inheritance concept, interfaces. So next to 10 days it will be like more on your hoops, okay, technical related things, Java based one. So this one is like basic Java, I would say. The next thing is your intermediate or advanced core Java. So if you face any challenge in understanding, please do stop so that I will explain you again, and so that you will understand what is the actual concept there. Okay. So let's take an example that you are an employee, you are placed in an employee and it's a new organization you are stepping into. So once you join that company, what they will do in the induction period is they will be giving, you would sort of faced it, right? You will have an employee ID, and you will have one email address created with your organization domain name, and your employee name. It is not like always they can give the same names. There are something, some company will follow your first name, your last name. Some company will have something called some other naming conventions and all, they will use it. It's up to you also. Sometime you will put only initial, sometime you will put your surname also. So likewise your employee will be created, and a password to your domain or password to your email would be generated, and it is all given. So these are the data about an employee. Okay, you have all this data. So let me So as an employee, I have some information once I join an organization. So employee data would be there. It can be your employee ID, employee name, email address, some password kind of thing. So you got something like this. So these are the data. Once you have the data, usually what you will do, if they provide a laptop to you, or usually you will have some internal sites and all, or a web email. Okay, if you don't have your machines provided, so web email, something like this, what you will do, you will log into that web email, and you will reset your default password. There are shared some default password, right? So you will reset the password, and you will do some sign up. So some internal sites are there where you can go and upload your documents, your PF details, some PF transfer, something, whatever you're doing. Like there will be some intranet site would be there for the organization. There you will log in, and you will change your password for the intranet site. You will reset the password. There's so many activity you will do in the first few days. So once you join any organization, these are things you regularly do. And some mandatory courses they will ask you to complete, some background check, some documents, so many things you will do. So basically, whatever activity you are going to do, so these are the data I have. I'm going to do some activities using this data. I am going to log into that site, or internet site, or the web email, and I'm going to reset my password. I'm going to change my default password. If I forgot, usually this will happen because so many password they will give, and there is a chance that you will forget the password which you resetted recently. So you will go for the forgot password option, and some sign up, sign in, so whatever it is needed you will be doing. So many activities you are doing by using this data only, because whenever you go for a forget password, what it will say, please enter your registered email address, please enter your employee ID. So by using this data only, you are going to do this activity when you're planning to sign in or sign up. So you need your employee details, your own user ID details. Okay, so data is there, this is the activity. So this, in a technical terms, what we will call is, instead of this data, the user data, we call it as attributes. And the activity, whatever I'm doing, right, login, reset password, forget password, everything, I call it as method. So a class is nothing but combination of a attribute and a method. Attribute is nothing but the data which I'm going to use. Method is nothing but the activity I'm going to perform using the data. So this is called class. So class is the combination, is nothing but we will have a template or a group of related data. So these are the related data, right? A group of related data, and the activities performed on the data. So this is called class. This is the easy example. If you take the theoretical things, they will explain this, that, and all. But the easy understanding is, class is a combination of attributes and methods. Attributes is nothing but the data which I have. Method is nothing but the activity which I'm going to perform using the data. So this is called the class. So I've taken an example of employee, right? This is one rough example I've given. This same thing, okay, I can convert to a actual class also. How can I convert that as actual classes? So the keyword is class. So similarly, this in the beginning itself you can see, right, the keyword is class. So I'm going to specify something called class employee. So in the beginning of the naming convention itself, I've told, right, class means it should be with a noun, and the first letter should be a uppercase. So same thing I'm going to follow here. So I have a class exactly same. I'm not going to add anything new. Whatever the real-time examples I've told, right? Same thing I'm going to use it here. I'm going to create something called employee name and employee or email address. Let's take some simple example. Email address. So these are the data I have when I join an organization. So employee name means obviously it's a string, so I'm going to specify the string data type here. Email address is also going to be the sequence of characters, so string I'm using here. Then what I told, I'm going to perform this activities, right? So the same activity I'm going to convert as a method. So I'm planning to do a sign in. So method would be a verb. So some actions name I have to give for the method name. So I'm going to specify something called sign in. So I will have a bracket and inside this I can have anything. Okay, some executions I will do. Just I'm giving a template here. Sign in means I can do anything. Like I will be entering my details, some security questions, so many things I will be adding, secret questions, so this and all I will be adding. So sign in a method I have, and I have something called login method. So login method also I will have my steps. I will have the correct username, password combination, and the password strength. So many things we'll be checking. And one more thing, like reset password also we can add. So if you look at my code now, my class is ready. This is what the actual class meant for. Nothing big. People usually feel that it is different, complex. No. Class is nothing but a template which has a group of related data. These are the related data. It is not like something I'm talking about an employee, something I'm talking about a college library. Okay, it is nowhere related, right? So for an employee, what are all the related data are there that I have added here, and what activity I can do it on the data. So once I have the employee name and email address, once I join the organization, I can go and do some sign up, and I can reset my webmail password, and I can log into my intranet site. I can upload my documents. So everything I can do by using the same very basic two details, my employee detail, that is employee ID, employee name, and email address and the password. Okay, this is the example for a class. So now I'm going to explain with one more example, that is I'm going to consider this is an employee class I was telling, right? I'm going to consider one more class, one more example I'm going to consider now, which is called a box, plain box. Okay, some cardboard box, nothing different. You got one parcel and you have a box. So that is the one I'm going to use for our demos and rest of the understanding. So I have a class called box. So obviously the box means what it will have. There will be some dimension for the box. Length would be there, and it will have a breadth, and it will have a height. So box means three-dimensional things, right? So you will have some length, breadth, and height. You have received a parcel and the box as a dimensions like this. So what I can do with the box, once you got your items back, that empty box, like how you will mention it, you will say it's a small box, it's a big box, and it's a real common language, right? So in the mathematical terms, what we will say, what is the volume of the box? Okay, some activity I can perform. What is the volume of the box? What is the area of the box? So these are the things you would have learned in a school day. So I'm taking the very simple example only. So I have a related data called length, breadth, and height. On the related data, what activity I can do? I can calculate the volume of the box. I can calculate the area of the box. Okay, so this is for one box I'm creating. So the for, okay, I will share my screen again. I'm facing a network issue. Just give me a minute. Okay, my screen is visible now. So this is what I'm doing, right? Same thing, I'm going to run it as a code. Now I'm going to create one class called box. I'm going to name the thing, okay. Okay, class demo. One class I will create as class demo. Okay, I already have. Okay, fine. I have a class demo. Okay. So in the same class, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create one class called box. Exactly whatever I've told you orally, right? I'm going to add it as a syntax here, the code here. So I'm going to copy this. What I'm going to copy this, the dimensions. I'm going to put it here. So I have a class called box, and this class has 3 data. So with this data only I'm going to play in the demo. Okay, so I'm going to do some activities in this demo using these 3 variables only. So this is the length, this is the breadth, this is the height. I have added it. So this is my actual code where I'm going to execute, because here I can't do anything. I don't have a main method at all. So inside this main method only I'm going to write my code. For now I'm keeping everything down. So usually if I want to access this length, breadth and height, again my screen went out. It's fine. So I'm going to access it using a concept called object. Okay, so that's what we are going to discuss now. Let me share my screen, my PPT. Okay, I'll come to the point later. Now it's it. So I'm going to say that I have a box. I already told this in the demo also. I have a blueprint for my house, and the engineer has created, and I've constructed one house. My friend visited my house and he told that I want to construct similar house. I like the way you constructed, so I want to construct similar house. So what I did is I gave the blueprint of my house. So my friend used the same blueprint and he has created and he has constructed his house, own house. The only change is my taste is different, like my interiors, my wall painting, everything I made as per my wish. But my friend has a different taste, right? So he has done with different modular kitchen, different interior designs, and the wall painting, the doors, everything he has chosen as per his wish. But the base concept is the blueprint is same. My dimensions, the room dimensions are same. The facing of the doors are same. Everything is same. But on top of my blueprint, the extra cosmetic changes he has added as per his own choice. Okay. Same thing. This is a box. A box has a dimensions like length, breadth, and height. But the same concept can applicable for a yellow color box, for a red color box, for a black color box, or a purple color box. Whatever may be the box, all the boxes are going to have a length and breadth and height. Okay, it can be different. One box would be, the red box would be small, the yellow box can be big, it can be different. But end of the day, a box means it is going to have a 3 dimensions only. So what I'm going to do now here is I'm going to create an object. So this is the way we will be creating an object. So I'm going to deal with something called a red box. So when I say like this, no memory is created. Object is created for me, but no memory created. So I want to create a memory. So this line, usually if I specify like this, means object is there but no memory is available. So I want to save some data, right? So I have to specify something called red box equal to new box. Whenever I use a keyword of new, what it will do is it will go to the memory and it will create one place for me, and it will say that, hey, going forward, this is the place reserved for red box. Okay, and in the red box I can set my values something like this: red box dot length. I'm going to set the value for the red box length like this. Okay, so let me share my PPT so that you will get an idea what I'm trying to say here. Okay. I hope my screen is visible. Okay, when
Yes.
I say box, thanks for the confirmation. When I say box, yellow box equal to new box, what will happen is it will create a place in my memory, and it will create some values like length, breadth and height. As I specify the data type of length, breadth and height in the class definition as integer, it is going to add the default value as 0. Okay, so this we already discussed in the array concept also. If the data type of the length, breadth and height is integer, when I say new box, it is going to create some place in the memory, and it will name the place as yellow box. It itself will name that the name for that particular place in the memory is yellow box, and in that particular place, three data available. One is length, breadth and height, and it will have the value also. I didn't specify anything in the first this line. When I say box yellow box equal to new box, I didn't say anything. Just one object I'm creating, just a copy of the class I'm creating. I'm not disturbing the class. The class is as it is. The blueprint of the house is as it is. I'm just using the blueprint to create my house. So similarly, a copy is created. In that copy, the values are set. Later on, I can add the values for the length, breadth and height. But now I didn't do anything. One default value is there. Then I feel that I want to create one more box. I have a red box, but the dimensions are different. I want to create means same thing I can do. Red box equal to new box. Then a new place in the memory will be created. There also three variables will be available. That is called the instance variable. The difference between your local variable and instance variable is, if you are creating an object and there is a variable available in the class, means that we call it as instance variable. So object creation is nothing but you are creating the instance of the class. Instance means a copy of the class you are creating. So I have a red box created. For red box I have a different dimensions. Similarly, a purple box or blue box, I can use the same syntax and I can add the data, and I can have a different data. It doesn't mean that I will have the same data. Is this clear? The memory creation option, is it clear? Any
Yes,
doubt in
yes.
this? Okay. So when I create a red box itself, in the argument, we can give some values like this. This I will cover later. I will show the very first code execution. I think with that we can stop today's session. So what I have done here is, for red box, I've added some length, right? I can print this value. So going forward, the length of the red box would be red box dot. If I give dot, it is saying three things here. breadth, height, and length, and you can see the annotations also here. So these are all my instance variable, and only three things are available. So these are the instance and these are the methods available. I will come to the methods part later. You can see I have only the variables, but still some methods are displayed. This I will cover when I come to the inheritance part. There is a concept behind it. I will explain that later. For now, three variables it is there in the class called box, and the three variable is visible for me. I can set the values for that, and I can print the values also. So now I am printing the value. I am running this code now. So once I execute the code, you can see, okay, which code I am in now. This one only, right? And the class domain. You can see the 10 is printed. For example, I have set only the length. I didn't specify the height. Let me print the height and see what has happened to the height. So I am saying redbox.height. I'm running it. If you look at this, here in line number 13, I set the length as 10 and I'm printing, I'm getting the answer as 10. But I never set any value for height, just I have created an object and I'm printing the value, but still I'm getting 0 because as I told in the presentation, I've specified the data type of the variable as integer. So when it create a copy for me, when it create the instance of the class, it will add the default value also. It won't just say there is a variable as height, it will also set some value as 0 and it keep it ready for me. So you should be careful. If you don't specify any value for the instance variable, be very careful to access the data because it is going to hold the default value. Okay, why you have to be careful, I will explain in the methods. Like I will be adding a volume calculations and all, that time I'll explain. So this is clear. For example, if I want to set, so I know I'm accessing this red box and length. If I want to set the length like this, okay, length equal to 20, it won't accept. It is saying that there is nothing called a length, cannot resolve the symbol called length because length is the variable of a class box. I cannot access the variable as it is. I have to create an instance. Using the instance only, I can set a value like this. As it is the line number 13, you can do it. Okay, my screen got wrong. One minute. Let me share again. Sorry, some network issue. I'm sharing my screen again. So my screen is available now. So this I cannot do because when using the instance only I can access it. This is clear. For example, I'm creating one more object called yellow box. Okay, how can I create box yellow box equal to new box? I'm creating like this, and I'm setting the value for here also. When I say dot, it is displaying all the options. I'm setting the value of length equal to 25, and I am printing the value of yellow box. So here I will print both the values. Okay, yellow box length, yellow box length, and I will print the red box length also, because there is a confusion people will get. That is, once I create a new instance and I have added a value. So if you look at this, here I set the value of red box as 10, here I set the value of the yellow box as 25. People may get confused that it will override the value. Okay, they will think that once I set the value of length equal to 25, the red box value is also changed. It is not going to be like that, because I've shown you in the presentation that red box will have a different memory location, and it will have a separate length, breadth and height. And similarly, yellow box will have a different memory created, allocated, and in that allocated memory only it is going to hold all the data separately. Whatever your activity you are doing with the yellow box instance, it will be there for yellow box only. It won't impact your red box length. I can add 10, I can subtract 10, multiply 10, whatever I want to do, I can do with the yellow box. It is nowhere going to disturb my red box data. Okay, so this is what related to a class. The theoretical explanation also I will tell you. I told the practical thing. Theoretically, a class means it's a template used to create an object. Okay, so using the template only, now we have created an object here, right? So and to define the object data types and methods. So using this object you can access your uh, data and your methods also. So object is nothing but the red box or yellow box, these are the object, right? Is nothing but instance of a class. You can either say instance of a class or a it's a copy you are getting, right? Each object as an identity. Okay, so if you take this red box, it has its own identity. Okay, a separate copy is created and it has its own behavior and a state. So behavior and state means what? The red box can be small in size, and the dimensions would be very small when compared to the yellow box. So anything can be there. So every object has its own behavior and a state. Okay, so the methods are all helpful to tell the or display the object behavior. So I'll be explaining that in the next session. The methods, what are the different types you will have, the arguments, everything I'll cover in the next session. With this, I'm ending today's session. Any doubt in today's session?